your burps out. Whew, welcome back to Factory Sealed. It is It's March, right? Yes.
March
16th, 2013. My name is Eric Peterson, and not joining me tonight is Jess. She's not here.
She's not.
Yeah. I don't know what she's doing, because she very clearly, and I even have written proof from her. When we were setting up the show time, I asked her what time would work, and she's like, no, Wednesday won't work, just got a project. I'm like, how about Saturday? And she's like, yeah, Saturday would be perfect. And here we are, it's Saturday, and
doesn't seem very legit.
Jess isn't here. Apparently it's her husband's fault, though, so...
Well, it probably is.
Yeah. Good on him for making her do stuff.
Throw him under the bus.
Joining me, though, Mr. Aron Robison.
Hello, folks. I'm back.
You are. It's lovely. Did you listen to last week's show?
I did listen to last week's show.
What'd you think?
It was a good show. It was good to hear a fan on the show giving his insights and things like that. So it was really cool.
Yeah, it's just a two-man show tonight. If you haven't picked up on the fact that
Ben Schrader would be here tonight.
What is Ben doing this week?
He had to miss out tonight because he's got his Brazilian wax at 7 o'clock. So unfortunately, he's unable to make it tonight.
That's so gross.
Well, after picking all those lice off of polar bears,
I suppose
cleaned up.
Yeah, you got to get yourself spick and span.
He was getting a little itchy down there. So.
His Brazilian. Well, I hope that Brazilian goes well for him. So no, this week we don't have any other guests on this week. We're just trying out, seeing if we need a fourth. We had a blast with Matt last week. Right. The next couple weeks are actually kind of busy. I'm just going to get this out of the way at the beginning of the show here, and I was kind of hoping that Jess would be on to introduce all this, but since she's not here, I guess it kind of falls on me. And
didn't she give a hint? Anybody who follows her on Twitter might already know.
She did, and some people have actually already figured it out. So, hold on, I just clicked on something I shouldn't have. Yeah, some people have figured it out.
Naughty boy.
There's actually two guests. One of them is, well, actually three. Yeah, three. Next week's show is going to be entirely dedicated to Batman, because Jess somehow managed to get Toronto Batman to come on next week. So I'm not too terribly familiar with who he is, but apparently he's a pretty big deal in Toronto. He's this guy that's got this pretty sweet Batman get up and goes to all these conventions and cosplays Batman and does like a lot of publicity stuff in Toronto.
Seems pretty cool. He has taken a picture with Laura Vanderhoot.
Who's that?
Vanderhoot. That is played Supergirl in Smallville.
Okay.
Yep. So that was pretty cool to see that pic. So that'd be really sweet.
Last weekend, Jess
she was also in the show V that was recently out on television, the remake.
Well, last week Jess actually went to Comic-Con. I don't know if it's Comic-Con. It's like some sort of Comic-Con in Toronto.
Is that the one with all the jocks showed up and beat everybody up?
I think so. Yeah, they introduced like sports, football and hockey and stuff. So it was meant to be this big nerd convention, and all these jocks showed up, and jocks and nerds is just a recipe for a good time.
Right.
But she spent the entire Comic-Con with Toronto Batman, and she said it was a pretty good time. He's a fun guy, so I'm looking forward to having him on the show next week. So get your questions in. It's going to be a Batman themed show. We're going to be playing some NES Batman games, Super Nintendo, and just pretty much whatever other Batman stuff we feel like playing.
I will not be playing a few Batman games. I will tell you that right now.
Why?
I will not put myself through that torture again.
Hashtag save it for next week. Also, this is the announcement that we've been hoping we could make since, was this last November?
Yeah, it's been a long time. I
It
think
has.
before this show started, I think.
It has. Well, I think we were trying to get him on for one of the first few shows, but
Right.
Jess, again, she seems to be the person who can wrangle anybody up. Managed to land Elias Tefexis and Michelle Bobak to come on in 2 weeks. They should be on the first week in April.
All right.
So hopefully they are going to be able to make it that week. They said they wanted to play through a bunch of Mario games and just hop on and talk about their experiences with video games growing up. So definitely get your questions together for them. Send them in now. If you want to make it easier for us when you send in an email, in the subject line, you could put for Elias or for Michelle or for Batman if you want to ask him questions. So,
All right.
got the big announcements out of the way. That way, I don't
Cool.
forget at the end of the show because I'm indulging in a tasty glass of bourbon.
Oh, nice. Enjoy.
I feel all posh.
I am sticking with my old man theme, and I'm having some Werther's Originals.
Oh, I thought you were going to say some Robitussin.
No Robitussin.
Got myself a nice stiff drink of whiskey and Robitussin.
There you go.
Papa's going to sleep at 7:30 tonight.
It's that purple drink right there.
That stuff's real cheap.
Yeah.
So, yes, we had to do a show tonight, and I was thinking about pushing it till next Wednesday, but I'm going to be out of town this weekend, and most of next week we're heading up to Vegas.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That should be fun.
Rootin' tootin' good time. My sister flew in, so we're going to be... her boyfriend's never been up to Vegas, so we're going to head up there and hit
Make
that.
sure you lock them on a roof.
We should. I'll try. You've been to Vegas, right?
Oh, many times.
Didn't they have the GameStop Managers Convention in Vegas, or has that always been in?
It's usually in Vegas.
Really? I thought it
Since
was...
I've been there. I've been in Vegas 3 times for a manager's conference.
I was going to say, I thought last year it was in Texas.
It was, yep.
Okay.
Yep, it went, it was Vegas, Texas, Texas. And now we're going back to Vegas.
When is the convention?
It's in into August.
Okay. I'll have to make a trip up there and crash with you guys for a weekend or something if you're there.
Yeah.
Because that's 4 hours. Not far.
Right. Yeah, and then I think after that we're going to Anaheim, I heard. So I'm not sure.
It's a strange place for a convention.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about your E3 pass yet this year?
Nothing.
You need to get on
I got
that.
denied. I got denied from E3, the thing for my alumni. The one they offered me for being an alumni, that was denied.
You've only gone every year.
I've only gone every year for the last 4 years or something. But yeah, apparently I don't have enough credentials.
Yeah, but GameStop has always given out game store manager.
I just haven't heard that yet, and I'll probably bring it up on next week and to my boss's boss. You know.
Get on that because I don't want to go alone, and if I have to go alone, there's that chance I might not go.
Ooh.
And that would suck, especially this year.
But here's the thing that I'm thinking about going anyway, even if I don't get the ticket, because there are ways to get tickets.
Oh,
To
are
get
there?
passes. Well, look at last year.
Well, the thing is, you could also purchase a pass.
I am not spending $500.
$900.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Unless Manitank is paying for that.
I don't know. Unless
I
we have
didn't
a
think so.
real
I
generous...
didn't think so.
Unless we have a real generous listener out there somewhere.
But yeah, I don't know. I would like to go, but I'm not gonna. I guess I won't be hurt if I don't get the chance to go.
You should be, because last year's fun.
I want to go again, man. I really would like to hang out with you guys, and I guess it's just you, since
Nah, Ben will be there. Then we'll actually have Ben
I don't
on
know
the
if Ben's
show.
going. Ben's the same boat I'm in.
Yeah, but if you get a pass, he'll get a pass. And
That's true. Well, I don't know.
we'll have to, for that week, we'll have to convert Factory Sealed into a E3 podcast.
Right.
So,
We got to get a moonshine cast again properly.
oh man, don't even, I'm still,
I got to give you crap about that, because you know how much I had to drink to get that show to be good, and you just threw it away.
I did. It's so disappointing. So disappointing.
I can say though that I know how bad you feel because I was seeing the look on your face the next morning.
Oh, and I went from super drunk to instantly sober in a matter of 30 seconds.
Yeah, you were like the kid on Christmas who got to open his new game and realized there was no game in the box.
Like his parents got an Xbox 360 box and stuffed it with socks and underwear.
Yeah, pretty much. You wanted been a bad boy that year or something.
I wanted to polish off the rest of that bottle of moonshine. It's not a good night. I still have that bottle, believe it or not.
That's good. I would. It's a dead warrior right there.
I'm taking it up to Vegas this week.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's going to be...
Man, that's been brewing for a while.
It has.
It's probably going to be a little bit more of a kick.
I can only hope.
Yeah.
So, suppose we should...
we should probably talk about some games. But speaking of guests, by the way, we were talking about this bringing on the 4th. It might be a good idea because I'm going to be busy myself with other stuff going on, just life in general.
Mm-hmm.
So I might not have the time to dedicate to the show in the next couple of weeks. So any of those people might want to come on. Might be good to not have maybe a 4th, maybe that 3rd person to fill in for me if it ever gets that way.
Well, you should probably make sure you're there for the two.
I will try to be there for the intro.
Special.
I'll be there for the super special one for sure. I've already got it in the calendar now that you mentioned it. So
okay. Well,
we'll figure want to be there
it out.
To meet everybody. I just might not be able to make, like I said, a lot of time. So,
like I said, we're still kind of on the fence about whether or not we want to bring in a 4th. Just trying it out. So, hopefully Matt doesn't take offense.
I don't think so. He seemed like he understood.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong, and he could be like, give me the finger right now. But I hope not.
Jess is probably instigating it.
Oh, I'm sure she is.
Telling everybody.
There's only like 3 people who live in Canada, so they're probably talking right now.
Oh, they've got to be.
Listen to that dick.
If you haven't figured out, we are going to take Jess and just throw her under every bus that comes by this show.
Bus we could. Even the buses that are drawn by equine species.
Horse-drawn carriages? I think that's
right.
That's the words you were looking
carriages.
for.
I was trying to use the word equine.
That's right. We do have to try to work that in, don't we?
We haven't successfully done it 10 times yet.
10. So last week, we decided to... I think we only decided on 2 games, didn't we?
Yeah. You guys were going to play some of the time-traveling games, I think like Where in the World, or the Carmen Sandiego games, whether it's World or Time.
Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego.
The Mario Time Machine, I believe?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Jess.
Yeah.
Mario Time Machine.
Mario's Time Machine, and Where in the World is... Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah, Where in Time.
So, I know that you played Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. I played quite a bit of that, but I also played Mario's Time Machine, and I know Jess played both games, so I can speak on her behalf of both, because she and I both had some very colorful discussion earlier this week about Mario's Time Machine.
All right.
But you played Mario's Time Machine when you were younger, hadn't you?
A long time ago. I don't remember a whole lot of it. Here's what I remember about video games. If it was not that cool to me, I don't remember jack crap about it. So I just let it go.
It's kind of like that whole mindset comes...
I remember.
It's like that whole mindset comes full circle again now, except the fact that you still, even in modern games, you still play through the whole game, but you get to the end of it and you're like, wow, I couldn't tell you what that game was about.
Right? You just play right through. You just trudge yourself along.
And now it's easier because they give you the ability to skip cutscenes.
They do that, or also they have it so like they give you so many side quests.
Yeah.
And I'm a big side quest person that by the time I know the side quest, I have no freaking clue what the heck the main quest story I was doing was.
Yeah, that's why I've made a point of before. I know this is a sidestep, but we'll get back to what we need to get back to. But with modern games, I will find out if you're able to continue playing the game after you beat the main story, and if that's the case, I'll beat the main story and then do all the side quests.
Go back through, yeah.
Or I will do all the side quests first and then do the main story. So
yeah, depends how that lays out.
I don't remember playing much of Mario's Time Machine as a kid. I do remember playing it, though, because it was a Mario game, and when I first got my Super Nintendo, I had to have everything Mario.
Right.
And I think you're onto something with that I didn't care about it. It's like Mario Paint. I didn't care at all about Mario Paint, so I have no real memories of that game and how I experienced it. It's nothing like my memories of Super Mario World and Mario 64 and stuff like that. But I do remember vaguely playing this, and going back to play it now, I can probably imagine that 7-year-old Eric hated this game.
All right.
Because the whole concept of it, and a game like this is cool in concept, but it's terrible in execution, because it may be the fact that I didn't have an instruction manual, because back then games really laid a lot of stuff out for you in the first few pages of the manual. Like, here's what the controller does, all the buttons, and then this is how you're supposed to do this, that, and the other thing. It's before they incorporated mandatory tutorials.
Okay.
And when you first drop into the game, it's just, you're Mario, and you're in this castle with these 6 pillars in front of you, and on top of each pillar is a different artifact. And essentially, from what I can remember of the story that I skipped through at the beginning, Bowser is traveling through time, stealing different artifacts, and you have to take these artifacts that he's brought back to his castle back to their original time. So,
all right,
you get into the castle at the beginning, you walk up to one of these pillars, and you grab the item, and then you can open up. I don't know how I figured this out, but you can hit the R button, and it opens up this 2 pages of text. It's like a multiple choice test.
Okay.
So this game is full on educational. So the way it's supposed to be played is that you grab these items, and you should know a couple of the answers. It'll give you a story about this item. Like the first one was Joan of Arc and her shield. So it'll read through kind of the story of Joan of Arc, and it'll leave little blanks like what year she was born, where she was born, what country she was a part of, who her king was, and stuff like that. And you should be able to fill in a couple of them on your own. So when you fill in a couple of them, it'll give you a location and a year at the top. So then you can back out and open up your time machine, which, again, they don't tell you how to do. You just have to start pressing buttons till this big golden clock descends from the ceiling. And on there are like 5 wheels. You have one for the location, and then a bunch for the date, and then one at the bottom that says BC and AD. So you have to be able to decipher where to go from one of those documents before you can actually go there. So with the one from Joan of Arc, you have to go to Orleans. I think it's like Orleans 1492 or some stupid number like that. So you travel there, and again, this is the way it's supposed to be played. It's not the way that I played it, but I'm going to relay it to you how it's supposed to be played. So you take this artifact there, and there are different people that you can interact with, and it's kind of a text-based. It's definitely text-driven, because you can open up a door and somebody will be there, and you can ask them questions, or you can offer them the shield or whatever artifact you have. And they'll clearly say, no, that's not mine, that's Joan of Arc's. And then they'll give you like this little quip. And in that quip is another answer to the document. And once you answer all the questions within the document, you can go to the person within that time period and give them the item, and you're done.
Okay.
But what's really stupid, and this is where Jess and I had some really colorful conversations, is that when you time travel, apparently in Mario's universe, time traveling, you jump through the vortex, and before you can get to 1492 Orleans, you have to go through a surfing minigame.
Okay.
It's the dumbest thing. You're just in this big open ocean, and there are little spikes, and then there are whirlpools, and then there are mushrooms. And the whole point is to collect 10 mushrooms without hitting a spike or falling in a whirlpool. And then after you get 10 mushrooms, you fall in a whirlpool, and boom, you travel through time.
Alrighty.
But the kicker is that the mushrooms disappear. Or it could be a game glitch where they just kind of clip out. So it's impossible to see where these things are. There was one time where I was probably surfing for a good 10 or 15 minutes.
All right.
It's so dumb. It's the dumbest thing. So that's the way you're supposed to play through it. The way that I played through it was I opened up all the documents. I searched for all the answers. I would say probably 4 out of the 6 documents I knew almost all of the answers for, because it's a history game for kids. So they're very generic. So you can highlight one of the spaces, and it gives you a list. So if you really want to be tedious about it, you can go through and try every single answer. And once you unlock it, then it gives you the time. You go to that location, give the person the artifact. And if your knowledge of history is as good as it should be, you could probably blast through this game in an hour.
All right. So with my history minor, I should be just fine then.
I was going to say, I don't think your art history is not going to come in.
But I got a BA in communications and a minor in history, so
you should be able to plow through this game right quick.
Right.
It's not bad. It's not a game for adults. I could honestly see this game being really cool for a kid because it's going to expose them to different situations. And I think that this game might be one of the reasons that I kind of grew up having this strange fascination with Joan of Arc, because I remember this because I think it's the first item on the podium, and I would always pop this game in and play it, and I would just go through the podium. So I always was seeing this Joan of Arc situation and stories. So I'd read articles and stories and watch movies about Joan of Arc, and it's just one of my favorite historical figures. And I can't say for certain, but I think I can trace it back to Mario's Time Machine, which is kind of neat cool. Because we've talked before about how video games can have a definite impact, like we did with Parasite Eve, where when I was taking chemistry, I thought about the mitochondria and stuff like that.
I thought maybe it was Mila Jovovich.
I've got a special place in my heart for her.
Cool.
So, comparing this game to Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, what was your experience with that game?
Well, I played the NES version of it.
I think that's the only version, Where in Time, isn't there? Or is there a Super Nintendo version?
I thought there was a Super Nintendo. I know there was a PC version of it, which I played in school back in the day. But yeah, the one I had access to was the Where in Time for the NES, and it's very simple yet complicated game.
Yeah.
So because you have the thing, and you have to go to the lobby or go sign your name, and then it's also a spot where you can, you get your saved passwords to go in and do that for your HR. Then you go to the lobby or something. It's like an elevator thing. You choose where you want to go, and then when you go to one spot, they say, "Hey, you get to go find her," and you have so much time to go find Carmen Sandiego.
I felt like an absolute moron when I first put this game in because I couldn't figure out how to get out of the elevator, and I would go down to the lobby and take me back to the title screen, or I would go down to the basement and it would show me the credits, and I couldn't. I still don't know. I think I just got lucky because I started hammering on the buttons.
Right.
I got up to the administration office, and I'm just hitting both A and B, and suddenly my cursor popped over to the door. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Right. Yeah, and then you get there, and then you see, hey, welcome. If you're new, type in your name, or if you're new hire, type in your name, and if you've been here before, just type in your security code. And so then you would go, and then you have, I think the first mission you have 32 hours or 36 hours to find, 38 hours I think it was.
I think it's 36 for the first mission.
Okay, 36 was it? Yeah, you have 36 hours to find her, and basically you go in and you have an option. On the bottom, it's like, what is it? It's, you have search, data, abort. And so basically you can go in and search, and you can talk to a witness or talk to an informant. And then what's the other choice? The other one is scan and use your scanner.
Boy, I can't put a sentence together right now.
Well, welcome to my world.
Holy
sir.
Cow! So you're in the office, and they give you what's called a Chronoskimmer.
Yeah, Chronoskimmer.
Chronoscanner. Apparently, you work for this agency that
the Acme agency
that detects time crimes,
mm-hmm.
and they send you out to back in time to track down this person who's stolen something important.
Right.
And for some reason, they only allot you a certain amount of time to go back in time, which
right. Well, because it's because you have so much time, but also that's how they track how many mistakes you can make.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because, otherwise you can just do it forever and you'd find her no matter what.
Yeah. So your first mission, the way that I understand it, this game's really long. There's a lot of different scenarios. I think Jess was telling me there's upwards of like 300 different scenarios or missions. So
okay.
they send you out. They'll give you this little brief rundown, and they're pretty generic. And some of them kind of overlap each other, so you can tell that it's kind of like this skill tree where they just piece things together. But
and it's also it's an informative game. Like, it's very educational.
Totally.
And now that Google exists, if you were to play this game now, you could probably beat this game in 10 minutes.
Yeah, easily. But it's really cool because they drop you into these different locations. They'll say, hey, we're transporting you back to 1402 Holland. And then there are, like you were saying, there are three options at the bottom.
Right.
You have travel, search, and data, and then there's abort.
Yeah, travel is the other one.
If you don't want to continue this mission. So search brings it up, and you have the option to talk to a witness.
Witness, right. And the witness informants kind of give you the same information.
Sometimes they give you something a little different.
Right. But it's basically telling you to go to a certain spot, and it's always like a clue, like she was reading a title of a book.
Yeah.
Or her eyes were the color of a stormy day or something,
Yeah. And that stuff it took me a few missions to figure it out because I was just kind of ignoring that stuff. I would always go to the third option under search and just do scanner. And a scanner will bring up an object. And most of the time there's the option to scan it again and it will give you further information. So one of them came up and it said an ancient kimono. And if you don't know what a kimono is, you can hit scan again and it will tell you a kimono is a Japanese nightgown or a Japanese dress, and that's kind of your clue to travel to Japan. Right. But I started
from there. You do the same thing, and then also if you do a scanner, you always catch a henchman. That's usually after. Then you find the object.
Yeah, and every option that you use takes time off of your clock. And I think like talking to the informant takes 2 hours, and talking to a witness takes a couple hours, and each scan takes a couple hours. So you are kind of limited in how much you can do, but it took me a few missions to figure out that what the informant and the witness were saying were actually important, because under the data tab, you can enter the hair color, the eye color. What else can you enter in there? The author of a book they were reading. And what else is there? Do you remember?
It was the other book and the artist, because they'll talk about a painting every now and then.
Yeah. So I never got enough information. I always kept failing this because I was just trying to chase after a person. So what happens if you actually fill out that data form properly?
So if you fill it out properly, they're supposed to give you like the answer. So it'll scan and they'll be like, they can give you who you're looking for, basically, like a name that you're trying to find.
Huh. So your first mission you get 36 hours for.
Yeah.
And then if you find that person, if you run out of time, you'll get a message from the commissioner of the time crime institution. And he'll tell you failed your mission. This will go into the unsolved file case. And then they'll give you a new one. So there's really no way to fail the game. You just have to keep going and going and going. But how many missions did you get through that you actually passed?
Well, I didn't get through one.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I started playing before we got on the show.
I probably played through, and this game is a lot more difficult than.
As a matter of fact, I'm playing right now. So yeah, you launched the Chronoskimmer is what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, and this was a totally random. The first mission is completely different than the one I did before the show.
Yeah. There are a lot of missions. I probably played through 10 or 15 different missions, and they're interesting because each location that you go to, you'll learn a different historical fact. So I could honestly see both of these games being used in an educational capacity.
Right. Well, that's where I learned it from. Like when I was in school, and then there was that television show. It might be was part of Reading Rainbow or one of those, where they brought in Carmen Sandiego like at the show, and it was like a part of the thing, and so you'd have to guess. Very much like Dora Explorer, only more complicated.
Yeah.
and you'd have to find the clues of what's.
I really liked this game.
It's fun. I'm gonna have fun playing it. I might have my daughter give it a shot. Since,
I definitely. I know that we were talking a few shows ago about gaming and when to get your kids into gaming, and I definitely think these two games, Mario's Time Machine and Where in Time or Carmen Sandiego, are definitely games that you could either give your kids to play or play with your kids.
Right.
But not Goof Troop.
Not Goof Troop, he says. Not Goof Troop.
So you didn't get to sound off on Goof Troop last week.
I didn't, and lucky for me, I guess I wasn't able to, because that was on the SNES, right, in the Genesis.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't have a copy of that game to play. So
you are a lucky man. I know that I told some of our listeners that I would go back and play it again, but you know what? I can't bring myself to do it.
After that show, there are two things that I listened to at that show. One, you really, really, really hated that game. and Matt was trying, bless his heart, was trying to, say that he liked the game.
Yeah.
And he was probably parts that he liked. And it made me want to play the game as much as you hated it and as much as he was trying to, say, hey, this game is actually pretty good. You should really give it a shot. I was really intrigued to play it. Plus, the person, I can't remember who it was who sent the email in initially saying that this was one of his fondest games and he had the playlist. I really want to play this game for him because if he was serious, then I really want to try it out. But also, I'm the way it was totally bashed on that show. I'm kind of hoping that he was trying to throw a fast one at us.
I don't think it was. This was Leonid Studio, and
right.
I don't think he was trying to pull a fast one on us. But
because there are a lot of games that I used to play as a kid that most people didn't like at all. So
it makes me question if this is one of the fondest memories that he has of childhood gaming. He must not have played many good games as a child. And I mean, when you're in that situation, you have to make the best out of what you have. So if you have just mountains of crappy games, you're going to have to pick a favorite of those. You follow me?
Right. Yep.
And I don't want to say that's what it is, but Goof Troop being one of your most memorable games as a kid,
yeah,
I don't know. And humming the songs too. Like I listened to last week's show again, and you're right. I was just spewing hatred about that game, and I generally don't like to be like that.
Right.
Because I like games. I like to give a lot of games a fair shot, but there is just something about that game that just did not sit well with me.
Right.
So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to... I'm not going to rescind any of my opinions from last show.
Okay.
So, you said you still are going to give it a shot, though?
I still got to find it. If I can get a hold of a emulator to play it, I will. Everyone I have does not work properly.
I did see a copy of it at my local retro store the other day, and I almost bought it purely out of spite.
You know, I might be your gift. Every year, I might buy you a copy of Goof Troop.
And every year,
you'll know how much more I admire you by the more amount of money that I spend on this rare game because some guy is buying up all the copies of Goof Troop.
Well, and then the supply is getting thinner and thinner because every year around Easter, you're going to get a package with just a melted copy of Goof Troop.
That'll be good. We gotta send some copies to Jess though.
So you know what? That's a fantastic idea. Over the course of like the next 15 years, whether or not we're still doing this show, we can just buy up all the copies of Goof Troop and destroy them. So this game is gone.
And then we can film it.
Yes.
Like,
and then
like the burning of bras and
then
flags.
We can find out where they buried all those copies of E.T. out in the desert and dig a hole next to them and bury Goof Troop. I'm sorry, I hate that game.
Well, clearly you haven't played enough bad games to appreciate how good Group Troop really is.
Maybe I should.
Maybe you should play Haze.
How about Brink? I could play some Brink.
Brink's good.
Dude.
I like Brink.
Shut up.
That game was good.
What else did you play this week? You sent me a text
All
message earlier this week that had just a huge list of games you played.
Yeah, I had a day off, and I was like, I'm going to play some of these games that I've never played before, and or heard of before, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I played 10-Yard Fight.
Is it 10-Yard Fight or 10? Yeah, that's that football game, right?
Yeah, it's a football game. 10-Yard Fight.
Okay.
I played that Base Wars.
Well, let's hold on. Let's talk about 10-Yard Fight.
Okay, so 10-Yard Fight was on the Nintendo system.
This is
it was one of the
really
first games,
early sports game.
Early sports games, and it's one of the ones like this is before Tecmo Bowl, even I believe.
Yeah,
and simpler to play than Tecmo Bowl, but harder at the same time. I played with my competition being Super Bowl caliber.
Okay.
I don't know what team I was. I don't know what team they were. I just picked two random teams. I don't even know. I think I was Texas and they were St. Louis, to be honest, I think.
10-Yard Fight came out 5 full years before Tecmo Bowl.
Right.
That's a whole console generation.
And I believe there were only 9 players on the field, if I did my math right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yes, there are 9.
There's 9. And you choose on offense, there is no play calling. There's a receiver that will run from the right all the way to the left, and any time between that run, you can hike the ball, and that guy will just run forward from that point on. You can hit the A button to pass to him, or you can hit the B button to throw it to one of your running backs, which is between you and your quarterback.
Yeah.
On each side. And then from that point, as long as they don't run too far forward, they can actually still throw the ball to the receiver.
Yeah.
On defense, you control one of 2 people, either on the right side of the field or the left side of the field. And so then you can run and get in the way of the receiver or try to tackle whoever has the ball. And it's kind of easy to pick out which side you want to be on, depending on what side of the field you're on, as to where they're going to go with it.
It's pretty simple AI.
I played this game, and for almost the entire first quarter, it was interception, followed by interception. And now this is on both sides. This is me intercepting and them intercepting. interception.
Wait.
Interception.
You actually got to play on defense?
Yeah.
I thought the way that I was playing it, maybe I was just that good, but I was only ever on offense.
Well, you have to be on defense at some point, because after you score a touchdown, you kick the ball off to the other team.
No, as soon as I scored a touchdown, I was back on offense again.
No, that is not how mine worked. Mine, I would score a touchdown and I'd kick the ball off to the other team.
I was going to say, because that seemed really strange, because I scored a touchdown. Maybe
you were playing both offense and defense. Maybe you were double playing yourself.
I very well could have been, because the game progresses through. You basically start the game, and then it progresses through 5 difficulties. I think it's high school, college, professional, playoff, and Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I just chose Super Bowl.
And the whole concept of the game is isn't it once you score, then that difficulty level's done?
No, for me, like I said, I did the Super Bowl. I played an entire game.
So you went through all the difficulties.
Well, I played through. I just, like I said, I went in. I chose the teams that I wanted to play, and I chose the competency level of my other team, which I was Super Bowl.
Okay.
So I didn't play a season or anything.
Because I remember when I scored my first touchdown, then high school flashed across the screen, and then suddenly everything got a lot tougher.
Well, maybe that's the difference, because I went straight to the Super Bowl, so I was already at the top level. So I went to the top level, and basically what happened is I got the ball, I ran, there's 5 guys surrounding you, and they come at you, and then you trying to get by them, and they just, tackle you, whatever. And then you play as a quarterback, and you hike it. And then basically what happens is, if there's any defender in your way at the Super Bowl level, and you throw the ball, it's going to get intercepted. It doesn't matter. Same with on their team, when they had the ball and they threw to their receiver and there was a guy, one of my team in front of them, it was going to get intercepted. So I really went through the first whole half of the game with just back-to-back interceptions. until finally they got a chance to get the ball. And because of all the interceptions, we were finally at midfield, and they were finally able to get to a spot where they could score because I couldn't tackle them, because I picked the wrong guy for defense, basically. So I was too far away to catch him. Then it came down to them kicking the ball off to me. I almost ran it in for a touchdown off of that kickoff return, and then all of a sudden it was like the end of the half. I had to go into the other half.
Jeez.
And again, defense-wise, a lot of interceptions, and then they did end up scoring again. Then I scored once, but yeah, that was back and forth.
What I found the best time to do any sort of damage is on kickoff, because for some reason there's only 5 people on defense for kickoff.
Right.
And then there's 9 people on offense. And it's kind of set up like reverse Space Invaders, where there are 8 people surrounding the one guy who catches the ball, and when you move your guy that has the ball, everybody else kind of moves with you, and you can kind of drive the defenders into the people that are trying to tackle you, so you can kind of finagle your way through. And there's a couple times where I was able to actually make it all the way through and get a touchdown off kickoff, but definitely not in the later difficulties. It gets really difficult.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it is tougher. Like I said, it was a fun game for me. I enjoyed.
How did you hear about
it,
this game? Because I've never heard about it before.
It was on my list of games in the new ROM package that I found.
Oh.
It has a ton of games and a lot of Japanese games only.
Oh, geez.
So I had a lot of fun. So
it's
I
cool.
played a lot of those.
It's definitely an early football game.
It's definitely early, and it's very basic and kind of easy once you figure out how to play the game.
Yeah.
But still difficult enough where, like, yeah, you're like, come on, Dan, I need 1 more, I need 2 more yards, things like that. And the ball changes over. And things.
Apparently, when it came out, I was reading a little bit about this game too. Apparently, when it came out, it was heralded as like one of the top games or top sports games of its time. Like, this is a game by which all other football games will be compared, because
right. And it is very much, you can definitely see somewhere Tecmo would have came in and got some ideas to improve on.
Yeah.
Whereas that one, you had to choose the plays you wanted to do, whereas this one, it was literally just the one play.
Yep.
And it was thinking strategically wise, because a guy would run across the field from right to left, and you could choose when you wanted to hike the ball.
Yeah.
So sometimes you'd watch the defense, and depending on how the defense was lined up is where you'd have that guy go, because the defense pretty much just runs straight forward until you pass the ball. So
I liked it. It's definitely a lot of fun. I think, can you play 2 players on one console with it?
You can, yeah. There was the option, I believe.
I think if I could
players.
find an actual copy of this would be a fun game to play 2 players, because I could see where you could really have a ton of fun with it.
Right.
But the AI in the high school and college level is kind of dumb, but once you get up to playoff and Super Bowl, it gets ridiculously hard.
I'll give that game a go again. I'll try that starting from that high school point or whatnot. So, but I'm pretty sure. Let me open it up right now, matter of fact. Let me just close this. Let's see how it opens up here.
Because I just thought it was, hey, press start, and here are your characters. Have
Oh, yeah, right away on the home screen, you get a 1-player game or a 2-player game option. Select your skill level for your opponent. I literally just went to Super Bowl team.
Okay.
Now this time I'll click high school team.
High school team, you should be able to run it back off the kickoff.
All right, let's find out.
Or get at least to like the 30-yard line on the other side of the 50.
Well, they move a lot faster.
The defenders?
And even the offense runs a little bit.
Huh.
Seems like they are anyway.
I don't know. I wasn't a huge Tecmo Bowl fan. I mean, I liked it.
I'm going to run this in for a kickoff return.
Yeah, it's kind of easy
so
on high school.
Well, no, now the defenders apparently can run fast now, apparently. They just ran literally 15. Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Rubber band AI, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's simple, but for its time. I mean, you have to remember the first Japanese version of this game came out 30 years ago.
Right.
But it's still fun to play. It's a ton of fun to play. It's to me, it kind of reminded me of those early handheld football games. Do you remember the one that just...
Oh, yeah, like the handheld,
It didn't have characters. It didn't have moving pixels. It had no LCD screen. It was just lights. Do you remember that?
Right. Yeah, I remember that. I played those all the time. What was that thing called? It was by Tiger Games. It was one of those Tiger ones.
What is that stupid thing? I still have one in storage somewhere.
I just scored a touchdown, so let's see what happens.
I got to think of the name of it. It is a... I know it was just called football.
Yep.
It was a major...
Sure it was like quarterback club or something like that.
No, the one that I'm thinking of was... It was beige, and it had the stadium on it sideways, and there were 9 or 10 rows of LEDs with 3 lights on each. And then the football would move that way. It was just called football. I know that, and it was made by a major toy company, not Hasbro.
I thought it was Tiger. It was Tiger Games.
No, it was Mattel.
Mattel
Mattel made it.
Wasn't a Tiger? Because I remember people would come in still and ask for a Tiger game.
Yeah, and it only had 6 buttons on it. It had up and down, and then it had a button that was left and right. It was just one button, and then it had 3 buttons on the left. I can't remember what they do. I know one of them was kick. I got to see if I can find that stupid thing.
Yeah, fine, because I know there was a ton of those things that came out.
I bet you Tiger did make one.
I know Tiger did, because that was like the main cool one that you can get.
I would love to find one of those things again.
So, but yeah, by the way, I just scored a kickoff, or scored a touchdown, and then they kicked it off. I had to kick it off to them and then chase them down. So, and it did say high school first half.
Okay. Maybe that's what it was then. So you have to play through a full career mode of it.
Right.
So you were all saying sports games. I know, actually, this kind of touches on one of our emails from this week. Should I read it right now since we're kind of touching on it?
Yeah, go for it.
I got to pull it up. I just closed it. Where is it? Maybe it's from... Oh, it's from Nick Stevens.
Oh, yep.
He was telling us, how about some retro sports games? I love sports games on the 8 and 16-bit consoles and still play them to this day. Ken Griffey Jr., baseball, RBI, Tecmo Bowl. Did you guys play any sports games growing up? Find myself hating the current generation sports games. I don't have time to manage teams, create plays, make sure my roster is happy with contracts. So stupid. So, yeah. I like touching on this because I actually played quite a few retro sports games for this week. So the next one you mentioned is actually one that is really, really cool for me because I grew up playing Base Wars. I'm not a big sports person. I did sports. I ran track. I ran cross country, played basketball, golf, but I really don't care about sports. March Madness rolls around and I don't give a shit. I don't really follow teams in the NFL. I'm not a huge sports person, but Base Wars for me is like the best of the best in sports games.
Okay.
Have you played it before just this week?
No.
Oh, Aaron. This game is like...
It's all good. I fixed it. I got it.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry.
Did you break something?
My daughter's dropping stuff all over the
I
place.
fixed it. It's all good.
All right.
All right.
So, anyway.
So,
yeah, no, I haven't. I don't think I ever played Base Wars before.
I have really, really fond memories of Base Wars because when I was in...
I apparently suck because I couldn't hit the ball.
It's super difficult. It's better when you play it with 2 people. And I went back and played it again this week. So it's just kind of coincidence that you and I played it at the same time. And I forgot just how hard this game is. But I have really, really fond memories. And regardless of how terrible I am at it now, I feel like this is one of those games that I have cemented in as so near and dear to me because of my memories of it as a kid. My parents got divorced when I was in like 2nd grade, and I would always go over to my dad's house and visit, and he had the NES, and he had a copy of Base Wars. And whenever I would come over, he and I would always sit and play Base Wars, and that was just kind of the way that he and I would bond over that. But so Base Wars basically is a futuristic baseball game. It's actually really, really in-depth for its time. And there's a bunch of different types of robots, everything from like... They're almost like Centaur-type robots where they've got... All of them have upper bodies of humans. Right. Some of them are just like Android-style human bodies. Then they've got the robots on a unicycle. They've got the hovercraft robots, and they've got the tank robots. And each one has different abilities and strengths and weaknesses. But What else?
Yeah, I remember
was-
you could hold down the button to get the pitch, and you could do certain things. Like you can curve the ball and things.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with pitching
then,
on this.
Right, and then but the batting you had was really tough to because you were stuck as a batter. You know what I mean? Like they would show the pitch based on where you were standing and things.
Well,
I
you could
remember-
move around the batter's box too.
Yep, you could, but then the pitcher would wait to see what he was going to throw depending on where you were ending up your stance.
Yeah, there
And
are.
at least in my opinion, that's the way it looked like to me. So.
And you can charge up your shot to make it go faster. So if you hold, I believe if you charge up your shot and you hit and you hold up, the ball will react to whichever direction you're holding on the D-pad. And what's kind of frustrating is that if you just pitch the ball, you can actually make it do like an S shape as it's flying towards you. It makes it really, really, really hard to hit. Or you can drop it down to the ground and then at the last second pull it up. And it's really difficult to hit the ball. But once you finally do, the game really gets started in the outfield, where if you go to tag somebody out or you throw the ball and try to get them out, rather than it just being you're out,
right,
it turns into a fist fight between the two robots. So it has nothing to do with skill and who got there first or if they really tagged them out. It's basically who can kick the other person's ass. Did you ever get to any of those?
No. I got the chance of them hit me, and I got to throw people out, but I know in the two, when they stole bases, you could just beat them up or destroy them or something.
Yeah.
But I apparently wasn't that cool to do that.
Yeah, it's really cool because there's a health bar and it almost turns into like this one-on-one fighting game, and there's a bunch of different moves you can do, and the person that loses blows up and that character's gone. And then, hey, you're safe. But perhaps the coolest part of the game, if you play a full 9 innings and you're just a huge dick as a pitcher, you can actually hit the robots. You can hit the batter. And they have a little life bar down in their statistics. And towards the end of the game, if you've hit that one batter enough, they'll eventually explode. And for some reason, I absolutely loved that. I mean, it's just it's a nonsensical, violent baseball game, which is fantastic.
Uh-huh.
So I still go back and play this game all the time. Because I've tried playing modern MLB games, and like Nick said, I have no time for managing teams and rosters, and I don't care what my pitcher's statistics are. I don't care about that stuff. I don't care about if my team is going to need to move or get a new stadium. I just want to play baseball.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. It's a good game. It's a good baseball game. Don't get me wrong.
It's kind of neat. They've got cool animations for when you hit home runs. Apparently you're playing in this stadium out in space, and ball goes flying off into the galaxy, and it's a really, really neat game. I kind of wish that franchises like this hadn't died, because it was really innovative for its time. Actually, I don't think you could really classify it as innovative, because everything at that time was innovative, because everything was new. But nowadays, we don't see any truly innovative sports games. They're all just kind of cut and paste. Yeah, with the
Well, all the
Xbox.
same. And they had a couple, like, the blitzes and
Yeah.
what other one? They've kind of gone down a little bit. And
Well,
Not
like the
so
Xbox,
much.
they had Outlaw Golf and stuff where you could beat up your caddy and stuff like that. But I think reviving some of these older franchises, like Base Wars, in a modern setting, and, for those diehards, if you want to include team management and rosters and stuff like that, that'd be fantastic. But you could revive this franchise, and I think it would sell incredibly well.
I think so. I would love to see this type of game, like I said, rematch with these new higher graphics and things.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be really neat.
The other game I played, and this kind of, I know we've been singing a lot of praises, but this game kind of didn't sit too well with me based on what I remember. And
Okay.
the show that Christian was on, I think it was like episode 4 or 5, we talked a lot about Mutant League football.
Yes.
And there was a counterpart to that called Mutant League Hockey, which I don't remember playing as much of, but I do still remember enjoying it because it was a Mutant League series game. So I popped that back in and played a few games of that, and I did not have fun playing it. It might be because I'm not a huge hockey fan, but it did not have the same flow. It didn't have the same feel, the same energy as Mutant League football. It was a lot slower paced, and it didn't pull me in as much as Mutant League Football.
Okay.
So, to those of you who took our advice and played Mutant League Football, you can try hockey, but you have to be a really big hockey fan. It's the same concept. You've got the different stadiums where there's different pitfalls or landmines, or you can throw them off the edge or stuff like that. If you check somebody hard enough, they'll explode and die. So it's still got that gratuitous gore to it, but it's just not nearly as much fun as Mutant League Football. But that's another series right there that I would love to see them revive.
Right. I'll have to give that one a shot.
What was the name of they did a PC game not too long ago called Bloodsport?
Oh, it's Blood Bowl.
Blood Bowl.
And Blood Bowl was based off the Warhammer game they had, where basically using the Warhammer figurines, like, the orcs and all those, on a football field.
But it was kind of like Mutant League Football, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we were talking about that when we brought it up, too, a little bit like that.
It's too bad that didn't do better.
I mean, well, there's only so many fans of that, who knew what Blood Bowl was, so.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
The people who did know what Blood Bowl was were not impressed with that game, apparently. So.
Yeah. What else did you crack open this week?
Let's see, what else did I do?
That's
a
it
lot.
for sports games, isn't it? Or did we play any more?
Yeah, I think that was it for the sports games that I played.
Actually, one more side note. As I'm thinking about it, the only Super Nintendo sports game that I really enjoyed was MLBPA Baseball. For some reason, that was, for me, my sister and I would play hours upon hours upon hours of MLBPA Baseball. So if you're looking for a good retro baseball game that's not stupid and kind of more geared in reality, check that one out.
Sounds good. Let's see. I played a lot for switching over here. I played Top Gun.
Oh, let's talk about Top Gun.
Top Gun was a blast.
Top Gun
until
was
I had to get refueled, and then I got pissed off.
Fantastic.
I love Top Gun. That was a great game back in the day, and it was just as much fun playing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Only this time, I could land the plane pretty easily because I knew what I was doing.
I play a lot of flight sim games. I love the Ace Combat series. I love Microsoft Flight Simulator. And this game, for being made in the 80s, was a ton of fun.
Oh, it was really good.
It's very, very, very simplistic, but...
Right. But it's challenging enough where, you take off and everything's kind of pre-learning to get up in the air. And you go up, down, left, right, things like that. You have to control your altitude so you don't crash. You have so many missiles, and you have choices of missiles you can choose before you start. And you only have so many of those to use. So if you blow them, then sometimes you can't use them when you need them.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way. I would always just like, hey, guys coming at me, hit them with a missile.
Better off just blowing things up with the guns for a while until you actually need to.
Well, and it only takes one bullet to blow anything up.
Sometimes it takes a couple bullets to kill some of the planes. But yeah, you go through, you fly, they get behind you, and it's really cool is, what I really thought was cool back in the day, and even now, was the planes, when they get behind you, you'd get on your radar, danger, danger, and it would show the plane behind you, and you had to try to maneuver your way out, and if you didn't get it out in a certain amount of time, it would just blow you out of the water.
Yeah, and you don't have flares or anything like that.
Mm-mm. So you just do that, and you go. I got through the first mission really well, and then you get to, once you through that, then you have to land the plane back on the carrier. And that's where I remember everybody got really
I remember that being really
game. Hard. Yeah, it used to be really hard, but this time I guess because I'm smarter and I can read, it tells you how to land. Like, you're going up, go down, go left, go right, slow up, speed down. I had more control of what was happening, just following that to go. And eventually it just gets to a point where it'll just land you then. But you don't want it flashing you to say, get up, go down, speed left, up, right. Yeah. Sometimes you could be completely even straight and going the right speed, and it would still tell you to go left. No, go right.
Yeah.
It's but I didn't have to go right unless I went left, and you told me to go left. So, you barely move. But eventually you land.
What was difficult was that when you're flying, they don't really give you control of your altitude or your speed, and then suddenly, hey, it's time to land. Here's control of altitude and speed.
Right. Yeah. So you kind of get both of that, and then it gets really pain in the butt when I went to the second mission, and you have to go out and find this like aircraft carrier and destroy it, and I ended up using my missiles before I got there.
Yeah. And you can't really blow up an aircraft carrier with your machine gun.
Not with your guns. You have to take a lot of shots at it. And then all of a sudden your fuel gets low, and this is the part that I got stuck on this time, and that was lining up to get refueled.
Yes.
Because they'll come up and this little, like, there's like you've seen in movies and stuff, the fuel filter comes and it's hanging out the back of this plane. You just have to get it to lock in place. Well, in this one here, I could not for the life of me get that stupid thing in. And again, it gives you the directions. Go up. No, speed up. Speed down. Up. Down. No, you're going too fast. Now slow down. I just couldn't figure out. And the problem with it I had was I couldn't figure out where it wanted me to get to.
Yeah.
Most games, okay, I need to be here. I need to line that up here, so I have that to guide me by. No, this here is just it hanging in front of the screen.
Yep.
And your monitor telling you to speed up, slow down, left, right.
You'd think they would have given you like
a... It flies away, and it says you've missed.
You think they would have given you like a little diamond that you would have to match up with the thing that's floating towards your screen.
But there isn't.
No.
So I ended up running out of fuel and crashing. So
it was. I liked it because it was a lot like a first-person 1943 style game.
Yeah.
Ton of fun. All it is, you've got enemies that will fly from behind you, and you can hit them from behind, or you've got enemies that will come from a distance in front of you, and sometimes they'll just fly by you and you can shoot them, or other times they'll have missiles that they'll fire at you, and you have to take care of the missiles before you can hit them. So it's really fast-paced. There's a lot of cool stuff in this.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty simplistic, but I like it. It's a great game.
Right. And then another flight game that I played, I played Aces.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about Tailspin.
I'll wait for that one last. I played Aces, which was actually Iron Eagle 3 in Japan.
I haven't played Aces. Was this a NES game?
This is an NES game, yep. I believe this is only in Japan, maybe. I'm not 100% positive.
Okay.
I don't remember it in the U.S., so
wait,
I don't know.
Is this... No, I'm thinking of Red Baron.
Yeah.
No, this is the game that came over to America with the title of Wings.
Wings?
Yeah, Wings it was Wings Ace's Pilot, wasn't it? No, never. I'm thinking of a Super Nintendo game. Never mind.
Right. Yeah, Wings Ace, that's the name of that game that I love playing. That was in the arcades. I love that freaking game.
I was thinking Red Baron, but it's called Wings, and you fly this like World War I style biplane.
Oh, no, they're still thinking of two different games. Yeah, Red Baron it probably is, but Wings, yeah. No, this one here you're playing this. It's like this is based on that show, Iron Eagle. I don't know if you ever watched that movie back in the day with Gossett Jr. and things like that. But this one here is very much like Top Gun. You take off, you fly from your plane. You have a sky and you have ocean.
And you've got your instrument panel.
And I did that. And there's 4 different spots you can choose. I chose one on the ocean first. You have the instrument panel. Still, you have so many missiles you can have. You can unload stuff, or I just did automatic load. And you go through very much like Top Gun. You have your goal of blowing these 3 planes out of the sky, and you have a couple of missiles, which for some reason I don't know. I just shot them down with my guns because every time I tried to use my missile, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But I think you have to wait for your thing to beep at you so long before the missile will go off. Anyway, so I shot those guys down, and then it goes to this other weird scene. And by the way, when you're flying, I should go back to a little bit. When you're flying it, if you go too high, it'll say maximum altitude reach, so that's how you know how high you are.
Uh-huh.
And then it'll also, if you're doing a lot of spinning, like you're trying to turn a lot, it'll say you're starting to stall, and then it'll give you a warning. And so if you don't fix that, you'll crash.
So this one's not just flying in a straight line. You can actually fly around.
Yeah, you can fly around. Yeah, this is very much different than Top Gun, where Top Gun, it's almost like can only go fly straight, kind of, the way they designed it. I mean, you can turn, but you don't feel like you're turning.
Huh.
This one here, you can go upside down and things. So it was really kind of cool. More of an Ace Combat style, where like you play the more modern Ace Combat games.
Huh.
So yeah, it's really cool. It has a little thing, so it has like in the middle of the screen, like a little diagram for like the box, and then there'll be little spots showing you where your enemies kind of are, depending on where they are in the thing. And then I'll show the little radar that tells you where they are too. You can actually turn towards them. So that was really cool. But after you take those guys out, then it goes to this really weird, I don't know, like this thing showed up. Maybe it was for fuel. I don't remember. But anyway, I must have hit it, and then I go to the spot where then it goes to like a over isometric view of the plane and flying over all these trees. And there's like this little, like, it looks like a bullseye that you're supposed to follow. Anyway, I followed it, and then I got above it, and I shot with a missile and disappeared. And then from that point, I didn't know what I was doing, but then I went over and I went to the left of the screen, and all of a sudden I come across this like little operation, like an army base, and these little tanks are shooting at you, and these little like guns are shooting at you. So you can blow them up, or you can also drop your missiles using the B button to shoot your missiles at those guys and blow them up. At that point, though, I was out of missiles.
So this one seems like it's a lot more realistic flight sim.
Yeah, a little bit. More of a up-to-date version of Top Gun, I guess you could say.
Huh. And this is
that
called...
was called Aces? It was called Aces, and then there was like Iron Eagle 3.
Oh, so this is the third one. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it was based off the Iron 3 movie, and they didn't make one for the first two movies. I don't know. But this was also in Japan, so everything was in Japanese.
Oh.
So the main storyline I couldn't read, but when it came down to the game mechanics of it, it did talk about...
Did it have anything in English?
Yeah. So like when you chose what you wanted to do and stuff like that, it was what was it? It would like, load out. This is America. This is your Tomcat T4 F14. You want to do your load in, So the game mechanics of it were in English, but the actual like storyline was in Japanese. So when it would tell me what my mission was, I didn't know what I was doing. It was all in Japanese.
Take these missiles, drop them here. Got it. Huh. I'll have to give that a peek. The other flight game that we played this week that apparently you're too stupid to play is Tailspin.
Tailspin. Oh my God.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Disney movies, and this is the game that is based on the movie with Baloo, right?
Right.
And he's this bear that flies a plane.
Yep.
And that's it.
He flies a plane, you're supposed to deliver packages and pick up stuff, apparently. And this is the one game where you can turn around, you can fly backwards, upside down.
Kind of. It's goofy because
it's goofy, but if you hold on the button too long, you just spin in circles. Apparently, is what I've learned.
If I wanted to flip over and shoot something that was behind me, you hit the down and A button and he'll flip over, and then it stops your auto progression forward, and then you can just shoot behind you. But this game was really goofy because I was trying to figure out what it's like, and it is the best comparison that I can make is that it's like
Mirror's Edge.
Well, no. If you've played Sinemora or any of those side-scrolling airplane shoot-'em-up games, like Gradius, it's like Gradius meets Mega Man.
Okay, I can see that.
With a little bit of Super Mario Brothers 3, the boss levels on the ships where you're dodging the cannonballs.
Okay.
I don't know. Your ship moves really, really slow. The enemy movements are really predictable. But you don't have a lot of life. 2 or 3 hits, you're done. And you're right. I didn't make it very far because I kept dying, and I got so frustrated with this stupid game. I think I'm just soured on Disney games.
Yeah, it could be. We've been playing a lot of Disney games. The only one game that I do want to play, because my buddy Jesse wants me to play it, is the Lion King game, which apparently is really good for the Super Nintendo.
We'll play that later. I'm putting the kibosh on Disney games for a little bit. So if you were going to write in and send us a Disney game suggestion, put that on hold. Did you have any profound thoughts on this game other than...
On that Tailspin, other than the fact that I just felt like a retard playing that game, I couldn't figure out what the heck I was doing. I'm flying through, and apparently you can dodge things and you can just totally bypass things and just move out of the way.
Yeah.
And then, then you have the gun that shoots, but my gun you couldn't shoot it a certain direction. I would try to aim it, and it would just go like off straight up.
Yeah.
Or, diagonally. And
and for some reason, it's time delayed. You can't shoot you can't shoot really quick.
Right. So you'd want to shoot off a bunch of things so that way you'd hit one of those bad guys or whatnot. And you'd have the little balloons or whatever, hearts. I think you have hearts in that game. And so if you take damage, you lose a heart, unless everything else.
Yeah, it's... The bosses they're cool if you're really into the side-scrolling shoot-'em-ups. it's cool. The bosses are really, really difficult. But getting to the bosses is even more difficult because you don't have a lot of life. So, and for some reason, the enemies make no sense. Like, why are there these bears with these bubble-making machines? And why will these bubbles take down my airplane?
Yeah, what's up with that? I thought those were supposed to help me or something, so I tried to run into one time because they were everywhere.
It's kind of neat because they have alternate routes through the levels where you can like take your ship or take your airplane down below this semi-sunken ship and pick up different treasures and bags of money, and everything just kind of accumulates into points. So,
right.
I don't know. I'm spent on Disney games. It's not terrible, but yeah, I felt kind of stupid because first of all, I couldn't figure it out. Second of all, it just wasn't really my style.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't hard to remember. I remember playing that game when I was younger with my buddies.
I don't remember it at
But
all.
I really don't recall much about it. So it must have been one of those games that I just must not have liked and then passed on. So.
Did you play anything else this week?
Let's see. What else did I play? I played some other games too. I played... now this one here I can only give a little bit because I didn't get that far into it. Mainly because it made me want to go and play Eye of the Beholder on the Game Boy Advance.
Oh no, that is such a good game.
Right, but I played A Bard's Tale, which is a PS2 game, but this is the original on the NES.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I just bought that game a couple months ago when it came out on Android. It was like $3, and it gave you the full PS2/Xbox version, but then it gave you Bard's Tale 1 and Bard's Tale 2.
Okay. Yeah, and I only played Bard's Tale 1, and it was really cool. So you basically go in, you can create your character, your adventuring party, it has to say. You have your main guy who can be a wizard. I think there's a wizard, sorcerer, rogue, just the normal stuff in there. Okay. And then you can create more people to join your guild or whatnot. And then you can basically take those people on an adventure.
It's more of like a text-based adventure, isn't it?
I would assume so, but I didn't. Yeah, because you have the text of, hey, welcome, are you ready to go out? But then when I went out and fought. I ran into a goblin in this town.
But were you actually moving your character around?
No. It's just like a corridor, like Doom. Picture like Doom or Wolfenstein, where you just have the corridors, but you can only go a certain way. So, like, you just walk that way. Like,
but it's not like free walking where...
It's not free walking. It's just that point of view. And you go through, and then all of a sudden you get to the point where you see a bad guy, and then I don't even know if I saw a bad guy, to be honest. I think you just have a random encounter.
Okay.
It comes about you. I really don't recall seeing the goblin standing there. But anyway, there's a goblin there, and you have your turns on who gets to go first. But apparently I don't know how to make a guild properly, or my party properly, because I only had the one guy in my party at that point. So I went in, and of course, there's like 3 of them, and they just killed me because I didn't have enough people, it just took 3 hits, and I was dead. So, then I go back and it says, hey, do you want to add more people to your adventuring party or whatnot? And that's when I stopped and I started playing something else. But it made me really think of Eye of the Beholder, which I absolutely love that game.
Yeah.
And the combat, like I thought, was kind of like, original Final Fantasy-esque, it was a turn-based where, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to fight or do you want to cast magic? And they would go and you would go.
Yeah.
So.
You're talking about the GBA version?
No, I was actually talking about Bard's Tale still.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll leave Eye of the Beholder for another time.
Yeah. Okay. So. I haven't played the original Bard's Tale. I have it on my phone, but I would much rather play the PC version of it, where it's true to what it's supposed to be. But yeah, we're gonna have to talk about Eye of the Beholder later.
Yeah, that's a great game. I love that game. Let's see, what else did I play? I played. I sent you the list.
I think that's it.
Too. No, I thought there was one other one that I played.
I started playing a game that one of our readers suggested. I'm going to get to his email tonight, but it was called The Immortal on NES.
Yeah, I remember somebody suggested that.
I'm not going to say anything about it because I popped it in to play it, and like, this game's going to suck. And I love dungeon crawlers. The original Baldur's Gate, the original Diablo, Champions of Norath, and the Baldur's Gate for the consoles, and any dungeon crawler I just chew through. I love them. And I put this game in, and I was shockingly surprised at how good of a dungeon crawler this was for the NES. So I only got to play about 10 minutes of it, but I'm definitely, when we get to his email, I'm definitely going to put that on my list for the next available time we have to talk about it.
All right.
So,
well, I guess I don't remember what else I had played here.
Okay.
I'm trying to find that Immortal game too. There it is, right here on my list. Cool.
Yeah, it's super good.
All right, I'll give that one a shot.
All right. Anything else?
Yeah, let's get into some email. I think I really can't recall. I played Tomb Raider and I beat that. I was very excited, but that's not retro.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. Maybe we should do some retro Tomb Raider someday.
Maybe. Those are some fun games.
All right.
Yeah, we should probably get some emails.
Let's do some emails. Let's see. If you want to write in an email, suggestion, opinion, factorysealed@manatank.com. I have to confess that I was forgetting to check our spam folder, and we were actually getting quite a bit of emails were getting kicked into the spam folder. So I'm going to actually go back and
what the heck?
And reread some of these.
I just got kicked out of my email.
So the first one, this is back from February 21st, comes from Kevin Deck. And he says, "Hello there, my name is Kevin, and here is my challenge. Mr. P," I'm assuming he's talking about me, "find a copy of a game called Yu-Gi-Oh! Dungeon Dice Monsters. You can all play it too. This game is a huge shit pile, but can still..."
Jesus.
I like this game already.
Right.
It's a huge shit pile, but can still be fun if you know how to play dice monsters. No one knows. So great, it won't be fun. Anyway, that is my challenge, but my game recommendation is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, or Superstar, for the GBA. This is my first ever RPG and was insanely difficult from what I remember. An example of this is a life mushroom is like 3,000, and there is one boss later in the game, I think as a quarter way through, has 3 bunch of whatever expletive stages with 3,000 health. Blah, blah, blah. He goes on to talk about that. I think Eric will love this game because he likes games that are kicking him in the butt, I'm assuming is what that said. That's not all. I have 2 parts. Okay, are you following this email as I'm reading it?
I'm reading it, man.
Okay. I'm trying to make it coherent.
Kid respond. I think he's got, I don't know what this is, but it's like...
Okay, he says, "I got a friend who is my age, 14, has never played a game and liked it past the GameCube, and sometimes it gets real frustrating talking to him about games without realizing that retro history is what made gaming today." So assuming he means he has a friend who can't play anything older than GameCube.
Okay, that makes sense.
You can also say that about history. Anyway, do you know anyone like that? If so, tell us with you beautiful faces spelled wrong.
Yeah, spelled wrong. Please.
And also tell what I can do about the situation, and if you talk about other games you find memory of. Cooking Mama. He likes...
No,
I won't play Cooking Mama. I draw the line there. Also, I come from Vancouver, city of illegal pot user teens who are lazy to do anything, including me, because I'm writing this email. Also, okay. So he wants us to play Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. That's a huge, huge game, isn't it?
I believe so. It's not that huge. It's only on the Game Boy Advance, but
Game Boy Advance has some pretty long RPGs. I'm still playing through Golden Sun.
What is it? What is the...
Are you trying to decipher the rest of his email?
I am trying.
Don't bother.
For one, okay, Kevin Deck, don't send an email like this to a teacher. I really don't mind if you did it on purpose, which I'm pretty sure you did.
Oh, totally. I think it's funny.
But yeah, that just...
I think that's maybe why he did it.
I hope he did. I really hope he did. I really hope he did it because you're too high on marijuana.
I don't like Yu-Gi-Oh! But since this game is supposedly a huge shit pile...
I think you have to play it now because you have to compare it. Now everything has to be rated on a Goof Troop to Legend of Zelda DX.
Yes, that is our rating scale as of now. Goof Troop to Link's Awakening. Okay.
And Goof Troop is below a 0 on 0 through 10, by the
Yeah,
way.
Goof Troop is negative infinity. Screw that game. Okay. I probably should have proofread that email before I jumped into it.
Maybe.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. I was totally waiting to read this. This is a great email. It comes from Jyoti Apana. Now, Jody is writing to us with a very, very serious situation. Okay? And I wanted to wait to respond to the situation until I got both your feedback and our listeners, because I'm not sure how to handle this. Jyoti writes in, "Good day to whom it may concern. I am Mrs. Jyoti Apana. I am a citizen of India, precisely from a state called Assam, but I got married to Mr. Walter Robert, a citizen of Mauritius." Where's Mauritius?
I don't know. "We
both live happily in Port Louis, the capital of Mauritius." I'm totally butchering this pronunciation on that.
That's fine.
"My husband worked with Chevron Texaco in the United Kingdom for 20 years before he died in the year 2003. Because of the love he has for me and our only son, he deposited the sum of 17.5 million, or 17,500,000 Great British pounds, with the Central Bank of India for his future benefit, being the only child. With tears on my eyes, pains and sorrows, I say to you that my son was poisoned by his friends that are jealous of him because he came from a wealthy home. I've been suffering from cancerous ailment. Recently, my doctor told me that I have limited days to live due to the stroke and cancerous problems I am suffering from. I have decided to donate these funds to you and want you to use my husband's effort to fund the upkeep of widows and charities worldwide. If you are a trusted person, please kindly contact my lawyer with your informations. Sincerely, Miss Jyoti Apana."
Mm-hmm.
That sounds legit. I don't know about you, but I mean, this lady's had a real tough life. So
she has, especially since they both live happily in Port Louis.
Yeah, but he's dead.
Been dead since 2003.
I don't know. I believe her. I think there's 17.5 million Great British pounds just waiting for Factory Sealed to jump on it.
It's possible.
I mean, think of the quality of shows we could do.
Yeah, we'd have enough money to buy all Goof Troop copies.
We could. We could hold a Goof Troop burning party. I hate emails like that. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have wasted everybody's time.
Yeah, but you were really excited because you found it in the spam folders while you were trying to find real mail.
Okay, I better read this one before he yells at me. This one comes from Ryan Yedinek. He followed us over from Manatang Podcast. So, says,
you're all you. This is a long email.
Oh my God, I need to start proofing these and shortening them up. It says, "Hey Factory Seal crew, how have you guys been? My name's Ryan and I've been listening to you guys and the sad spin-off of you, the MTP. For a while now, and I decided it's about time that I wrote in a question as well as a request for next week's show. First off, my question, have you guys ever had a moment where you were cleaning something out and discovered an old game from your childhood that you used to play all the time? For me, I'd recently cleaned up my basement and discovered an old stash of PS1 games, including Spyro and Spyro 2. My next question is, what is the hardest retro game you have ever beaten? For me, it was Banjo-Kazooie for the N64. Let's see. I'm going to try to proof this as I go. Now, as for my request, it might be a bigger one, but I'm wondering if you could play through Mother 3. Recently, my computer had some issues and I lost all the data on my user, which includes the progress on my playthrough. I was hoping you guys could play it and I could play along with you. Now, I don't want to tell you what next big RPG you should play, but this game is very incredible. It's also separated into 8 chapters, so I was wondering if you do decide to play it, maybe you could play one chapter per week. I like that suggestion. Mm-hmm. The chapters are decently short except for one. Also, this game's only available on emulators, and you need to patch the ROM in order to make it English. That's quite simple and takes no time at all. Thanks for taking the time to read my email, answer my questions, and possibly taking my request. Thanks, Ryan. Also, he says, P.S. Thanks for the bridge code, by the way. I had an extra copy of the bridge and gave it to him. So he gave us a link to the Mother 3 and the patch. So let's answer his question. Were you ever cleaning something out and found an old game from your childhood?
No,
Really?
because I always know where my games were.
Oh, you're just that organized, aren't you?
Not really.
Either that or you
I
don't
just
have
keep
many
them all
games.
in one spot.
Oh, I see. For me, it would have to be when I was moving down here from Wisconsin, I was packing up all my stuff, and I found my copy of Mutant League Football. And I was elated. I was dancing, I was cartwheeling, I was hooting and hollering.
You know, I have a sad story,
Uh-oh.
to be honest.
You have Goof Troop framed on your wall with lights.
I don't.
Okay, good.
But partially one of the reasons why
It's like
I
come and
haven't
burn
come
down
across
your
cleaning
house.
out my closet is because my mom gave away all my stuff.
Oh.
So I'm very sad.
She just gave it away.
Yeah, she was dating this dude and they broke up, and his son had stuff and I had stuff, but I wasn't living there at the time, so they ended up just taking my stuff as well.
Wait, so she didn't give it away, they thieved it.
I guess you could say they thieved it. Yeah. So
Jerks. I had that happen. One of my buddies was going away to his grandma's house for the entire summer, and I had just gotten my Super Nintendo, and I had a ton of NES games. And he was going to his grandma's, who had an NES, but no games. So I gave him my entire collection of NES games. Didn't get a single one of them back. And then when I went to get them back, he's like, oh, I don't know where they are. Grandma's got them. Like, where's your grandma live? I don't know. I think she lives in Michigan.
right,
I think he sold them for crack.
probably grandma's crack.
What's the hardest retro game you've ever beaten? Any of the Mega Mans, easily. No, I take that back. Battletoads for the NES.
Battletoads. You beat Battletoads?
I beat Battletoads. That last level when you're going through the underground tunnel on the surfboards, I beat it. I couldn't do it again, but I beat it.
The hardest game that I ever beat. Oof. That'd be a tough one, man.
If you want,
No.
the one game I would like to beat would be Super Ghosts and Goblins, because to truly beat it, have you played that game?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so it's really difficult as is. Just to get to the second level is an accomplishment. To get all the way to the end, you think you beat it, but then you have to start all the way over. But to get the true ending, you have to beat the game 2 times in a row without game over. So try to beat that.
All right.
Here we go. Jeff Woods writes in. Hello there, FSC. I'm a relatively new listener, and I love your podcast. This is a podcast I've been looking for since my other retro gaming podcast is no more. At any rate, I'm going to try and interact with this show as much as I can. I love talking about old school games and reminisce about my childhood of gaming. At any rate, the game I'd like to suggest you guys play is The Immortal for the NES. Fond memories of this game when I was about 8. It's cool isometric view, Diablo-style action RPG. It was a dungeon crawler way before dungeon crawlers were a fad. I'd love for you to play this, as I too will, and share some of my feedback and thoughts. Let me know if you guys are going to do it, and I will pop that shit in. Retro on, Jeff Woods. Yeah, definitely The Immortal.
All right. I'm going to play it.
Okay, we've got an email from Donovan LC. Actually, 2 emails. One of them says, love the show. Second one, hey, I've been listening to your show a ton lately, and it's probably my favorite gaming-related podcast. Anyway, I was going to make a quick game request. Could you possibly play some Ogre Battle 64 or a full playthrough of Ocarina of Time? I've played both of these games and love them. I'd like to hear your opinions for these. I hope you take these into consideration. I'm going to pin both of these for after our show with Elias and Michelle.
All right.
Because Ogre Battle 64, I have not played, but I'm a huge fan of the Ogre Battle series. And I'd kind of like to play Ogre Battle 64. And Ocarina of Time is a huge undertaking.
Right. And
Have you played that one?
Nope. And I am going to get killed by everybody and probably hated on the show.
It's okay. I haven't played Majora's Mask.
I have no interest in playing it.
Are you serious?
I have never had any interest in playing a lot of the Zelda games.
I don't know, I feel like going back and playing it now might not be as impactful because when it first came out, that game introduced the future of gaming. I don't like to throw that out a lot, and I don't like how Zelda Ocarina of Time is heralded as the best game of all time because I don't think it's fair to give that title to any one game. But that game truly introduced, along with Mario 64, the future of gaming.
Right. And the possibility that when the game came out, I did not have the system to play it on.
True.
Nor did I. So then I missed out on it, and then I built in my head this thing of, well, it's not that cool. And then
maybe
did
it was
that for years and years and years and years.
I
just have no interest in it anymore.
I've done that where it's if something's really cool, but you don't have it or you don't have the means to get it, you'll tell yourself that it's not cool.
Right.
You know.
Or I just sucked at the game too. That could be it.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see. This one comes from Christopher Elford.
Oh, this is mine.
Okay,
this is mine.
Go ahead.
All right, because I believe wasn't Chris. I think I read his original email back in the day.
Probably.
And he did not use y'all in this one, so I'm kind of maybe that was the wrong one. But it said, "Hi, Factory Sealed crew. I just want to thank everyone for reading my message a couple weeks ago about video game addiction and cognitive development."
That was a good discussion we had.
That was a good. And that was his because I remember reading that email because he used y'all a lot. I'm pretty sure. I got a tad bit embarrassed when I was read, and there was one picture to explain my reaction. It'll be attached to this message.
I like that picture.
Also noticed I need a better repertoire of words. Finally, got that out of the way. So here's my question for this week. What are some games, whether retro or next generation, that would be nice to play with your significant other? Are there elements in a relationship that can be improved by playing games? That's all I have for now, and I must get back to my homework. I'll try to write again in a couple of weeks. No game suggestions for y'all this week. Have an amazing day/night. Christopher A. Alford.
Should we?
P.S. Keep up the excellent work. And you should try to figure out how to get this up on the website. I used this picture for the podcast.
Oh, okay. Should we read Jess's response? Because since Jess isn't here, I had her write in because I felt like this is one of our serious questions for the week, so we should have her weigh in. She titled her email, "What up?" all gangster style. Her subject is couples that game together, stay together. So she writes, Super Mario Bros. Are awesome for couples. You aren't competing against each other, but working together. I love playing GoldenEye with Andrew, her husband, because we get to beat the crap out of each other. Slappers only. Also, Mario Kart is awesome too. She's spelling it phonetically like Mario, just to suck. I love playing games with Andrew. It increases communications in the relationship or will point out holes in communication. Competition is great for a relationship as long as you are being a good sport about it. Don't let the other person win, though. That sucks. Plus, the intensity of the competition will probably get you laid. That's a fact. Okay, well, just cover that quite thoroughly.
All right.
Do you play games with your wife?
Occasionally. She doesn't like to play a lot of the games I play, so
Yeah.
But we do play like we're really big on the ones where we have to outdo the point totals of games.
Oh yeah.
So like we'll play some trivia games and things like that, and then we'll play like we used to play the Wii Fit and the Wii Fit games a lot, especially the ones where you had like the challenge for the top scores and things.
I'm gonna lose more weight than you.
It wasn't even about that. It was about the literally the high score, who could get the high score in that game. And so we'll play a lot of games like that. We'll play some Mario Kart every now and then, and some of the we play Mario Party, and things like that. But seen it.
I think
games where we're trying to intellectually challenge each other.
I get this question quite often because I play a ton of games and I'm married, and usually people associate getting married with, guess what? You can't play games anymore.
That's not true with Christy. I've learned that. I've never met this woman.
Yes. So it's strange because if gaming is truly something that's like part of who you are, and there's a difference. Some people play games just to play games and they can drop it and never come back to it. And other people, like, gaming is just what they grew up as. I wouldn't consider people who play only Madden or only Call of Duty gamers. I wouldn't give them that label. And I know that label carries a lot of stigma to it, but I wouldn't label them that because they play one game. I think truly a person that plays a lot of games, plays a lot of different styles of games, and truly enjoys them for what they are. So that being said, if that's part of who you are and you're in a relationship with someone who doesn't support that, that is going to constantly be a point of contention. And I know a lot of people are just like, well, just give up gaming because it's games, it's kid stuff. But what if you were really into reading classical literature and your significant other hated the fact that every night for 2 hours you sat down to read a different piece of classical literature and said, if you want to be together, you have to give up your classical literature. It is the same concept. So if you're in a relationship like that, I'm not saying ditch the relationship, but you need to find a way to work that out, because I know a lot of people whose significant others don't like games. One of my best friends from high school, as soon as he got married, we never played games anymore. And he would call me up when he got home from work. He's like, hey, I got a half hour before my wife gets home. Let's play some video games. And then as soon as she would walk in the door, he would just log off. He wouldn't even say bye. He would just turn his system off.
That's not cool.
No, it's not cool at all. So, Christy,
Grant, I guess I can't talk too much. I did that last week on the show.
Well, you had an excuse though.
That's true.
Christy, she doesn't play a lot of games, but she loves watching them. Like, absolutely hands down loves watching them. To the point where when a new game comes out, if we're walking through the store, she'll see it. She's like, "You're gonna buy that, right?" Like, well, sure. So I buy it, and then she'll watch me play it. And because one of the first games that I was playing when we got together was Oblivion, and she would come over and just fall asleep watching me play Oblivion. And, she would never play it herself, but I feel like if there's that common bond, I can talk to her about different games, and she can understand what it is and talk back to me about it because she's watched me play it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if that's truly something that's important to you as a person, and I'm not going to give you some stupid quip about don't sacrifice who you are for other people, but it's kind of that concept of like, if it's really important for you, don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to have to compromise that. But then again, there is balance where you can't just use that excuse of, well, gaming is what I do, deal with it.
Yeah, I know lots of relationships that are broken up because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, if your wife asks you to put down the controller and help clean the cat box or go for a walk or something, you do it.
Right. And some games that I could suggest, you need the 2-player games, and it also depends on your significant other, because you have to know your significant other to figure out what game she might like to play.
I've seen some couples that play Call of Duty together.
Yep.
Or
Dragon Age, or any of those role-playing games. Things all me and Julie also play a lot of golf together, like Tiger Woods golf or Hot Shots golf. You have to find out what she likes to do and sometimes get her involved.
Well,
and you can't be afraid for her to steal your game.
Yeah. And I think what a lot of people are misinterpreting is that playing games together doesn't mean physically sitting down on the couch and both playing the game together like a 2-player game. Mm-hmm. If you find a game that you really like and give that to your significant other and say, here, play this, and then maybe while you're off at work and she's at home, she can play it, then you guys have another common ground to talk about. And for me, I would see something like any role-playing game, for sure. Any role-playing game, any of the Final Fantasies, anything with an in-depth story, because it's the same thing as giving a book. You can say, hey, I read this book. This book's fantastic. Read it, and we'll talk about it. The Elder Scrolls games, hands down. I know Jess and her husband play the Fallout games together, and they'll talk about that and kind of use that as a point of conversation. But I think for Christy and I, the new Super Mario Brothers games were fantastic because we could play through those together, or Ratchet and Clank All for One. I'm trying to ease her into like the dungeon crawler style games, like the Champions of Norath, where you can play together. But the thing is that she didn't grow up playing those types of games, so it's kind of complex. It's not that she doesn't enjoy watching them, it's just that to give it to her, she would be a little slower to pick it up. So not only do you have to understand what types of games they're going to like, you also have to be understanding in that they may not be as quick at the game as you. So if you get frustrated really easily watching somebody struggle with a game, try to pick games that you know they're going to be good at. Like, we played a ton of the Wii Sports Resort and just competed back and forth with each other with like the basketball score or the tennis score or the archery scores and stuff like that. I would come home from work and she'd be doing the basketball thing or the wakeboarding. And she's like, I beat your score. And then like I would obsess over beating her score for the next 2 hours.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's right.
So that's all we've got for emails this week. If you want to write in, send us your suggestions. Next, go ahead.
I'd like to say we do have one other email, but we might save that for when we actually play the game.
Is that
Nick
in the
Stevens
spam folder?
wrote in.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
Nick Stevens wrote in. But actually, I guess we could save ourselves and not play this game and just let him tell us what he thought about it.
Jess and I played it, so we'll talk about it a little bit next show.
Okay. So Nick Stevens didn't forget about you, but we will read it the next time.
We'll read it when we talk about it. So next week, we've kind of have our game plan set out. We're going to be playing various Batman games. I know for sure we're playing Batman on the NES. I'm hoping to play Batman Returns and then Batman on Super Nintendo. And then I'm sure at some point we'll talk about the new Batman games, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, just because we're talking about Batman with a veritable Batman person.
Right. And actually, that's speaking of. This is not. It's kind of on the same page, but not playing the same with others. But my daughter has me playing the Batman games right now.
Which ones?
The Arkham ones.
Okay.
Arkham Asylum, because I played them all back. I didn't actually get through them, so I'm going to play through because she wants to. When she's over, she wants to watch me play the game. Because she does not very good at games. So she goes, I'd just rather watch you play.
That's
like,
cool,
okay.
though.
So now she's helping me, and she's giving me the clues, and hey, look up there. What's that over there? You missed that, or you got to go that way. You're going the wrong way. So that's really fun. It's a nice way to connect. And
nice.
She's a huge DC type of fan, so
nice.
That's really cool, like talking about that. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do that.
Well, make sure to get your questions and comments in for Toronto Batman. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's got a lot of cool stuff. He's got a YouTube page, big, huge Facebook page. A lot of cool stuff on there. A lot of photos to look through. A lot of posts. You can follow him on Twitter. Then the week after, 2 weeks from now, 2 or 3 weeks from now. I think it's 3 weeks.
First week, I think it's 3 weeks. It's first week of April, right?
The first-ish week in April. Start thinking about your questions for Elias Tefexis and Michelle Bobak, his wife. If you don't know who they are, they're voice actors. Elias did the voice for Adam Jensen in Deus Ex, and they'll be on the show talking about some Mario games with us, so you can ask them Mario-based questions, or you can ask them whatever the heck you want. Send that in, subject line, put 2 at 2, so we know how to group the emails and can kind of make things go a little bit smoother. So the next show is kind of booked. I'm hoping to get to some of these other suggestions, like The Immortal.
Well, it sounds like it's a longer game, so we might have a chance to have time to get to that, so we can actually review it.
Well, we've got the week of the 25th through the 29th where we can play some of these suggestions from people. So maybe we could play the first chapter of Mother 3 that week.
Possibly. I got to get the link and he'd put that in the email so I can download that.
Yeah. We'll let you know next week what we're going to be playing for the following week. So send all your stuff in, factorysealed@manatank.com. Aaron, where can we find you on Twitter?
At Quilted Tunic.
If you want to follow me and my exploits through Vegas, you can follow me at Honest
Vegas.
Pizza.
Yep.
That.
You can always find Jess at, I have no idea, Jess M. Clarkson.
There you go.
Now.
I almost forgot. You're such a nice guy.
Oh, well, thank you.
Such a nice guy. I would have totally forgotten. I feel like we didn't throw her under the bus as much as we could have.
Not enough.
No.
You know how many times I get thrown under the bus and I don't show up for shows?
We
at
actually
least 2 or 3 times.
We actually sang her praises at the beginning, so
we did.
I feel like
she had the nice email, and we're only going to be nice to her this month because it's like National Women's Month or something like that. It's
I don't think
Women's
that's
History
right.
Month or something. Yeah, it's March is like Women's History Month or something like that. I didn't know about it so recently. I saw a commercial for it. So
I'm glad I don't have cable. All right. That's going to do it for the show. Join us next week with Toronto Batman and a full crew.
All right. Bye, everybody.